morning, it's Ginny and Tim at DS Tech in Escanaba, Michigan, and we're going to talk about what do-it-yourself tech is probably costing you. It might be more than you think.
Yeah.
You think you're saving money, right? I mean,
yeah. Usually that's where it all starts.
Yeah, for sure. Because I know it's the same at home when we're working, doing our own thing and looking up YouTube videos to fix things. It's like, wouldn't it be better just to hire somebody? But let's talk about that. Before we do, visit dstech.net, sign up for our newsletter so you get some of these things that we talk about every week, and drop help if you need any help getting IT taken care of for you. Okay. So let's talk about do it yourself.
So this article just talks about how a lot of times as a business, especially a small business, you're trying to be profitable, make things run smoothly, but at the same time kind of be conscious of how much money you're spending. So a lot of times the big ticket items in tech, like that just costs way too much. You're saying I need to spend this much for my backups, this much for all my licensing, and now I need licensing for my licensing on top of my licensing, and it just starts bloating, and it gets crazy to where I get it. You want to start trying to save money. And
how about tracking those licenses?
Exactly, it's a whole
thing.
Oh my
gosh!
So a lot of times you may come up with a solution that may work temporarily, or maybe it's a patch, or in a pinch it may work, but usually the long-term ramifications are if you ever had an outage or something did go wrong with your do-it-yourself solution, it's a lot harder. You don't have an official support channel to go to and get help, and then you could be losing more money potentially. And there's some other stuff. So typically, this talks about how most companies, if they might have like a computer guy in quotes, because a lot of times on a smaller business, that's not his full-time job. He's probably just a guy who does other things, and he happens to know computers, so computer happens to be under his role. Or you might have 2 or 3 people that are all trying to do the computer stuff, and you don't have a dedicated resource. So it's hard. It's hard to.
It's like Jane knows how to run the printer, so she's the IT girl.
Yeah, exactly. So typically when that happens, if something goes wrong, or it's not documented well, usually these people, they just know how to do it. So and so knows how to do the printers. This person knows how to add a new user. This person will do this, but they're not having a central documented process for it to where others can then follow the same instructions. And the biggest thing is like with security. A lot of times your do-it-yourself solutions, while they are secure, a lot of times these open source solutions are secure. They require you to be diligently checking for updates constantly, because they won't auto update, as well as there could be vulnerabilities in there that just haven't been disclosed because not as many people are using the software, so it's not as big of a target. So with all that, this one talks about, outdated antivirus, if any, because, if you're using your own solution, maybe are you actually going with an enterprise EDR solution like SentinelOne or CrowdStrike or something that's actually going to protect you against some of those AI and machine learning techniques, or are you still going with like Avast antivirus or Norton or something, right? It's like
Malwarebytes.
Better than nothing. I'll give you that.
Yes, it is better than nothing.
But at the same time, if you're having a business and you're protecting customer data, you do want to elevate to that next step. It talks about, your default router password. So like your text, they might not know as much configuration to go in and change all the defaults. They want to get it working because their job was like, we got this new router, boss says get the network running with the new computer so they can get it working with some of the defaults. They might not take it to that extra step and do the extra configuration for fear of breaking it without knowing exactly how to do that in a secure manner.
Admin. You just keep
admin. Everything's 192.168.1.0, right?
Password 1.
Yeah, exactly. So hackers don't need much. They do just need one unlocked window. So if you had a bunch of different software and there was one thing that you forgot, we downloaded this one software to do our PDFs, but we haven't updated it in forever. Well, now you have a PDF gap where an employee clicks a bad PDF attachment and it runs wild. So again, this talks about it isn't just about fixing things, it's about building a foundation that scales with you, because a lot of times in these smaller companies too, you get like 1 or 2 people may know how to do this, but then if your company starts scaling, say you acquire an entire new branch office, are those 2 techs going to be able to literally double the amount of endpoints they're now supporting? Probably not if that's just only partially in their job. So if you had a dedicated resource like an MSP, whether you had 20 computers or 400 computers, we treat you all the same, and so it's scalable and it'll work out well.
Or even worse, they're not doing the revenue generating activities they're supposed to be doing
because they're so busy about IT and chasing tail that So if you had a project manager who happened to know computers, they might be your IT guy, and now their projects are suffering because they're having to chase tail so much on all this stuff. You can start to take away. And if you do start noticing that, that's where you definitely want to make the step.
Take in some help.
MSP or
type help.
Some help. Yeah, exactly. And typically with do-it-yourself, this is a very good point. It typically is reactive. You're typically not trying to update all your firmware, update all your operating systems to the latest and greatest things. You're kind of just responding to the broken things. So this person's printer isn't working. I can't log in to access my files. You're constantly responding, so you have no time for the preventative work. And usually by the time you finally are done responding, you go back to your regular job. So do you have time to really do the preventative work, which that's where you're not going to be getting the firmware updates, and then all of a sudden you may have like a downtime, which is going to cost you a whole lot more.
And again, back to the person's productivity, when they're getting interrupted constantly, it takes a long time to get back on task.
Yes.
Right? So you're losing time, more time there too, which is more money.
And that's typically the relationship that we actually like the most too, is where you actually have one or two dedicated resources at your business that actually do know the IT. And the idea isn't that we're just going to completely replace them or take their job away. But what we can do is basically level them up to where they may know all this stuff, all these, different things. They're obviously a self-taught learner that can usually do that, or we can give them the tools to take it to that corporate IT level of like getting access to the latest EDR solutions, and we can help train and work with them, because the idea isn't that if you have this person who's good, let's keep them there, let's keep doing them and give them the tools so that way they can also assist you, and call it co-managed, and we do a great job with that as well. So
some of our favorite relationships.
Yeah, and so same thing, you're wasting your mental bandwidth as a business owner or manager. You shouldn't be Googling why is Outlook not syncing, or spending weekends, rebooting your routers. You should be trying to grow your business and figuring the market and driving your business, letting the IT people just keep things working in the background and letting it work for you, so that way you can use the technology to set you apart from some of your competition. So, so the biggest thing, our take from this is time to upgrade your IT to the corporate level. If you're doing a lot of DIY stuff, it can be fun for house projects, home hobbies, various things like that, or a really tiny small business with maybe a really niche use case. Maybe you can still get away with it. But typically, once you start to scale, start to deal with compliance and getting into the actual business world, you're better off working with actual corporate IT, corporate licensing, and doing everything properly by the books, which can be overwhelming to just one person who's trying to do it all. And that's where you just reach out to DS Tech, and we will definitely help you with that.
Yes, type help and we'll get in touch, or visit our website, which, by the way, our ideas came from a blog article that I shared with our newsletter last week. So if you went to our blog, you could actually read this and print it and take care of, take a look at it. So is that it?
Yep, that's
Did we cover it?
I think
okay. So. Cool. Well, do-it-yourself IT is not necessarily saving you money. So
yeah.
Make sure you have a great day, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.